Hey folks, the Keldner here. I had to switch over to streaming on my computer so I can get some final thoughts in when it comes to Star Wars Fallen Order. As was evident at the during the final boss fight, I just could not beat her. The the fact that again I ran into the same situation that I came across when it came to playing Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, which is enemy hits player, player is then staggered and interrupted. Um, Also, the enemy can hit you while mid combo. Like, all that stuff together. I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we need to lower the difficulty a little bit because that is ridiculous. And it always just annoys me when games do that. So, and I tried repeatedly, so. And again, the only reason why I'm playing this game at the moment is to get to Jedi Survivor. So I decided, okay, well, I just want to move on to the next game, so let's just do that. So, yeah, we're going to be moving on to Jedi Survivor. There is some things I am not a fan of when it comes to Fallen Order. Don't get me wrong, the worlds are quite big in terms of open world games, but and again, I understand they were going for that feel, which they sort of did capture. Is the whole Dark Souls motif, like the Souls games, because the Souls games, yeah, they're technically open world games, but you don't really get to explore the world uh, until you unlock certain aspects, which then, and they always encourage you to go back to other locations. I remember Dark Souls, in Dark Souls 1, I had to go back to where you first, arrive, that, little campsite. I recall you had to go back there several times. In fact, um, so the whole traveling back and forth between the worlds made sense. But it's just sort of frustrating seeing open world games and then having to be like, oh wait, no, I have to in fact actually go back and forth. It was just really frustrating. And I'm surprised they had what could be considered a very basic mechanic in RPGs, but they left it so that you had to wait, and it's one of the last abilities you get, and I'm referring to double jump. The fact that double jump was something you had to that was the last force ability to unlock. Um, I just found that a bit odd. I'm trying to remember force techniques, and I just feel like channeling the force through you seems like it'll be a lot easier than using the force to manipulate others. Then again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe using pull and push is a lot easier, or somehow slowing a person down. Like, I'm surprised that that's the the first ability we have is slowing things down. That to me seems like it'll be the most advanced force technique in Cal's repertoire. It just seems like they have like things reversed, you know. It should have been more like those abilities you unlocked at first and then progressed. Another few things I did criticize the game about when I talked to my friends about this when I completed it on PC was I found it weird. I found the weapon options disappointing. I also find it weird that the heavy attacks channel force, as well as using dual sabers. To me, it's just like, wait, why is using dual sabers a force technique? It just seems like an odd choice. I will say though, the atmosphere that they have for each world is pretty great. The combat, I will say, the combat did get a bit repetitive. Once you unlock dual sabers, and you unlock the ability to do combos, when you switch from weapon to weapon, that does make things interesting. But eventually, as it boiled down to like same thing over and over again. I enjoyed the occasional bounty hunters showing up. But introducing the whole like bounty hunter showing up was a bit weird, just in my opinion, because they could have, if they, instead of going for more of the Souls approach, if they just went more for an RPG thing, then they could have had a really cool bounty hunter system where the best example I could give would be Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Assassin's Creed Origins, where if we had more of a concept, like sort of more of a generalized open worlds system, where the worlds were more open, like yeah, some of them were locked until we progress, maybe certain elements of that planet's story or the story in general, but like it was more so open world. Like I see clips of Survivor where it feels like you're in a more living, breathing world rather than worlds purely filled with enemies. But then you had there's a bounty hunter nearby, I got to avoid them or maybe fight them for their XP, but they're very difficult. That's what they could have approached it with. That's one of the things I like about Assassin's Creed Odyssey the most, was the fact that it wasn't just the city guards that you had to deal with, or sorry, the soldiers you had to deal with. Is that if you kept causing trouble, bounty hunter Misthios mercenaries would be hired to take you out, and they did prove they were generally very tough, especially even when you become the number one ranked mercenary. The game perpetually creates stronger ones towards the end, so you're always going to be having to either change up your fight style or potentially run away or have a very difficult fight because a mercenary would show up to punish you for breaking the law. They could have had something like that, and it would have been interesting also because we're playing a game where we are perpetually on the run. I just feel like it just feels cool. The world's again. It just feels weird that the world is the world's always felt empty. with the exception, obviously, of enemies. And that just to me that feels weird for a Star Wars game. Like, there's no. I think they should have leaned more into the RPG stuff, as opposed to the Dark Souls approach. Maybe Survivor does it better. Again, I've only seen little clips of trailers, so I'm looking forward to fully seeing what is in store. And hopefully, they had a trailer boasting seven different combat styles, so I'm hoping Dual Sabers actually gets treated like an actual combat style, as opposed to, oh, you have to constantly channel your force powers into this. And also, it's typically the same comp. Like, you get, like, what is it, two combos, it looked like to me, depending on which swing you're in the middle of. I just feel like they could have went more into an RPG element as opposed to Souls. One other big complaint I had about the game, like this game, is the respawn. Like, I know they're trying to go for a Souls game because at the time that this game was released, Souls games are big. Sorry, we're really big, and I understand that. Don't get me wrong. I understand Elden Ring, Dark Souls, like Demons Souls, Bloodborne. No, is it Bloodborne? Yeah, Bloodborne. They're all very still. They're still very popular, and I understand why they're very popular. I enjoy them as well, but the respawn system and the recollecting of your XP, like, or at least the resource that you use to spend to use to as XP, that makes sense in those games, to my understanding. No, I haven't played Demon Souls. I haven't played Bloodborne, but I have played Elden Ring and Dark Souls, and they give you an explanation on why you respawn. There's a reason why you respawn, and you have to collect this essence to level up. This game, there is no real explanation of, like, oh, I respawn and now I have to I have to damage this enemy to get back my XP. Yeah, that makes no sense. Like, it just doesn't. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just weird. Uh, I was just like, I like the lightsaber customization. That's a cool idea, but I started noticing that, like, for the most part, you're blatantly just copying other characters lightsabers, like Luke's, Obi-Wan's, Vader's. Like, passion and strength were just Vader's lightsaber. So that was quite disappointing. And I will also say the lightsabers, the two combat styles, double ended and thing. I like how they were differently animated, but once you get, I did switch up to, I did try and switch up to single blade when fighting a single opponent, and when multiple opponents came up, I did switch to double ended, but I didn't feel like there was actually. Personally, I did not feel the need to swap to single blade unless it was part of the combo of just switching when I unlocked that ability, and that's because there is no real difference. I thought there was a difference in damage. It didn't look like there was. Single blade, like double ended, did not seem weaker against one opponent. In fact, I often finished my groups of enemy fights in a 1-on-1, which then I just simply finished them off with the double ended. It just seems that mechanically speak like really mechanically speaking, there is no reason for you to ever use your single edged blade single-ended blade ever again once you get double-ended, because it's great for hit multiple enemies, but it's also fantastic when deflecting blasters. So there is no reason to go back to it, and it would have been fun if they made that so that single edge did either deal more damage, and as such, it was better when you were dealing against one singular strong opponent, and maybe um, maybe giving it some other uses. I don't know. Maybe you had also more block stamina. Like maybe it didn't drain your stamina too much to block techniques. I don't know. They could have done something with it, but then with the double ended, um, that could have been more suited for multiple enemies and blaster deflection. Because like even Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, they had different combat styles in those games, but each one had very different purposes, which would encourage you to swap, to switch between them. So yeah, I just feel like this game has a lot going for it. Like the story is fantastic. I love the story. The voice acting is great. One weird thing about Siri's character is some of her animations have her eyes really pop out, and I just found that a little weird. And here's the extra abilities, which is obviously New Game Plus. I do we actually? Oh wow, do we actually get the evil? So I never actually died into New Journey Plus. Let's go into it real quick. I just want to get to the customization section, because like, do we actually get Dark Cal? Um, because I never actually, again, once I did the story, unfortunately, this is one of those games where I wouldn't replay Dark Souls. I would replay. Skip. Yep, very good. Wow. So we can. Does it show up in cutscenes? Oh, what happens if I go into? Okay, yeah, no, sorry, that was just that. Alright, let's see if it shows up in the cutscene. But yeah, this game is not one of those games that I would replay unless I was doing like again. Technically, I did replay it, but I only replayed it for the sake of getting the story completely done, as well as having it recorded. Yeah, just going to lower down the game. There we go. Yep, we're in it. All right. So, oh wow, it's starting to lash and rain here. Okay, for some reason this is not letting me go back to home. That's strange. Alright, well, we'll just leave it paused. I do have on, sorry, Jedi Survivor, it's just, it won't show me. Uh, but yeah, like, I have hopes for Survivor. I hope they learned some things, but yeah, as I say, but yeah, so this is one of those games that I would only replay for the purposes of recording. Once I'm done with the story, then that's it. I don't see a lot of replayability, other than trying to get like achievements and such. I'm hoping Jedi Survivor is different. I'm hoping it'll be a game that I'd be like, oh no, I really want to play this. Like, one of the things that has me always going back to, say, Middle Earth Shadow of War is the Nemesis system. And again, oh, the Nemesis system, I absolutely love that. But the thing is, because it's like the Urks are progenerally generated, and like it keeps things interesting. And again, like if there's a, I feel like there's a reason to replay it. And I think the same success is said for the Dark Souls games. Like the reason why they're so popular is because you do not unlock everything by the end. uh, like there's a reason to replay it is to try out different builds, to to complete it. Oh, I want to do a complete straight tank build to play through it. Now I want to do a dexterity heavy one. I want to do a heavy poise one. I want to do one that really leans into, like, say, a certain type of weapon or magic, or like, because there's even different types of magic. There's even the different sub factions within the Souls games. So they're all the reasons to replay the game. Like I even replayed the Old Republic classes quite differently. So because they use different play styles to them, as well as the story changes slightly depending on your decisions, like light and dark. So like I enjoy replaying those games a lot because of those systems. Like if this game was a bit more open world, like if this was like, and I'm not saying a GTA style Star Wars game, but like if this was like a proper open world game, I would probably replay it a lot just to run around doing Jedi things. Yeah, that would be cool. So that's what I'm hoping for Survivor. Um, I have a D&D game today, folks. So I don't know what the story is. If I'll be able to get to it today or tonight. But I need something to eat. I have not had breakfast, despite how early I woke up. So I am going to end the stream and go get something to eat. Uh, but in terms how I used to do these little comments at the end, Star Wars Fallen Order, in terms of story, it is a 9 out of 10. Graphics wise, I would say it's about an A. Gameplay wise, it's about a 7, maybe an 8. Some of the repetitiveness, and as I said, some of the issues with the double saber, the double ended, and the singlet, like there is all of that sort of does hurt it. Also, I will say a bit of the lack of force powers is another thing. Uh, like they're my thoughts. Replayability virtually non-existent. Again, it's one of those games where I feel like you're better off. Like they have an extra mode where you can face off against waves and waves of enemies. I get that, but it's just not there. Like I'm just like, there's no real interest there. If the combat was a bit more unique, then maybe, but it isn't. So, uh, anyway, this is the. Oh god, my allergies today. This is the Celtic Nerd signing out. One name, one sky.